I think you're out of line because what I saw some Dockers players go down off the ball.
I'm sure there were as well, but did you have a message to your players in particular?
What do you think?
I don't know, you tell me, you're the coach.
Well, I just think it's a silly question. Okay. We play within the rules.
Zach Dawson's game, Ross would have knocked it out. I think it's about 4 first months.
Yeah. What's your name?
Mine?
Yeah.
Shane.
Shane who?
McGuinness.
Okay, that's the best question you can come up with after 2 hours of footy. You're quite brilliant, Shane. Yeah, terrific. He's really disappointing in the context. Hang on, in the context of the effort we've delivered. That's why the disappointment. I'm still in a bit of shock at the garbage that was thrown up. So to elude was one term. I can't let it go because it's incredibly disappointing. And I'm not sure what you're alluding to. So I think you've got to look at what you stand for as a journalist, to be frank. Shane?
I feel intimidated and I wasn't even in the room. I don't know how to answer you, Ross. What do you reckon, Andrew? Is that a reasonable look or not? I mean, should coaches be so belligerent?
I don't think Ross was being belligerent. He took offence to the question, and I don't see why, Bruce, if he feels that way, that he's not entitled to bite back to a journalist. I mean, Ross and everyone else in this industry, including myself, cop it. And from time to time, if you feel like you want to challenge something, I think it's everyone's prerogative to be able to do that. So I think it's good on him. Why not?
It was great theatre.
It's quite funny, wasn't it? I mean, it wasn't the best question, Shane. In fairness, you might want to research a little bit better than that, I think.
What was your moment of the week?
Oh, look, Bruce, I was at that game and, you know, there were 32-odd thousand and 2,000 fantastic Fremantle supporters that came over, and you could have sworn there were 20,000. The noise, the chanting going on during the game, and then to see them after the game is phenomenal. And it was an incredible noise coming from a small portion of the crowd. You would have felt, Bruce, that there were simply much more Fremantle supporters.
That was the only game that I'd watched on TV, and I agree. Coming through the TV was very loud Fremantle supporters. It seemed as if the Cats supporters were outnumbered.
I want to know what it is with CEOs and the Dockers. Wayne Jackson used to love the Dockers as well. Remember when he went into the rooms at the MCG one day?
Well, yeah, I do. He's put a jumper on, I think, when he sang the song. But, I mean, the Dockers are the only team, Bruce, outside of the 2 new expansion teams that have come into the competition that haven't won a flag yet. So from a romantic perspective, an AFL perspective, that'd be great to see them get through.
Not many sides get under Geelong's skin, Duck, but Fremantle do it incredibly well, and there's a great history between these two teams. Both coaches spoke about it, and we just heard Ross taking exception to it, but Hayden Ballantyne's always front and centre. This is Matty Scarlett giving him one over at Patterson Stadium a couple of years back, and Ryan Crowley does it week in, week out. There's this unbelievable frustration Geelong have when they play Fremantle.
It's about as big as it gets in terms of rivalries now, this one, and you just have to look at some of this footage. I mean, there is an actual hatred, I think, between the two, and you're right. And if you remember back, it was Ross Lyon and St Kilda, and the Cats that had a real good rivalry during his time there. So this is not a good look, though. I really don't like, they shake hands, but they push one another away. And Crowley here, who goes up to the captain of Geelong, I mean, there's a lot more to this. There's obviously a lot said during the game, which we're not privy to. But, it's not... look, it won't be left there.
Look, Crowley's having another great year. He had a great year last year, but he's better this year. Brett Kirk, apparently, talking to Fremantle people, has had a huge influence on him, a massive influence. I mean, one of the great taggers of all time, but spiritual guy and all this, and they reckon his influence on Crowley's been enormous. And I think we're seeing it, don't you?
Well, he won the best and fairest last year. Heard an interview, he said he's had a more consistent year this year.
I thought Aaron Sandlands was an incredible player on the weekend. The hits to advantage were just phenomenal, what they got. It's hard to believe, Bruce, that Aaron Sandlands was a rookie, as was Barlow, who was another great player. And they produced another one on the weekend in Spur, who's turning 26 and played at Central Districts. I mean, where they get these rookies from is incredible. And to think they've been through a draft and been unnoticed is just unbelievable. And
Sandilands is hard to unnotice, isn't he? I mean, he is the tallest player ever to play, and he could be the most important player in the final series.
With that helmet on, he's hard to miss now. I mean, he actually looks bigger with the helmet on.
How does it happen? How do recruiters, with all the technology now, have these players running around the VFL? It's a great story. It's a great thing for young players, I reckon, Andrew, that you're not lost to the system. If you're still good enough, you'll find a way back in, even at a late stage. So
I'm guessing Ross Lyon's getting an A, even though he had a good press conference.
Ross actually gets an A+. He gets an A+ not just because of the weekend, but because of the 2 weeks prior. And I was his biggest critic, thinking resting that many players, having a soft run into the finals.
Okay.
Well, he's turned out to be a genius, hasn't he? Because they were just sensational, beating Geelong at Geelong. That is an A+ if I've ever seen one.
I want to stop you there before you go to the other. You know what I reckon the biggest mistake just about in football has ever been? St Kilda letting Ross Lyon go. I mean, you think about that for a minute. How did that happen?
I don't know, Bruce, but he's a genius as a coach.
Has it been a worse decision by any club? Well, maybe there has because of what's happened this year with the outside there. Has it been a worse decision, though, in an administrative way to let someone like Lyon go?
Is there a feeling that if St Kilda had have managed themselves better, then Ross Lyon would be there? So Ross
Absolutely.
ideally wanted to stay.
In my opinion,
well, if that's
absolutely.
the case, then that is an unmitigated disaster to let Ross Lyon go.
There's very few coaches that make teams better. Ross Lyon is one of those. I'm not sure he could have got St Kilda into the 8, though, Bruce. But,
well, he got him into 3 grand finals in 2 years. He was going OK, I reckon, for a fair while. Let's go. Anyway, that's what I think.